How to become a cloud engineer in 2024. You've probably come across this because you're looking at breaking into the new cloud industry. It's booming. Everyone looks like they're having a great time. They are having a great time. And you want to slice that pie. Well, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I would take if I was starting from day one to break into the cloud market. Well, first, play it! Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel for another episode. Before we get started on this one, can I please ask you to like, share and subscribe to the channel? It just helps me grow the channel massively and bring new faces in, educate as many people as possible, and just tell them how great cloud is. So I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. So today's episode, we're not really going to be talking technical demos and all that good stuff. It's going to be more around strategy and more about how you go about obtaining your first cloud role. Now, there's a lot of information out there how to get into cloud. And really what I wanted to do is consolidate that information and simplify it and put it into a single video. And then if anybody wants to comment on it, give me their understanding, tips, tricks, etc., then it's all welcome. Because I feel that when you are first looking at the cloud industry, you've got different roles. You've got DevOps engineers, SREs, you've got cloud engineers, platform engineers, analysts. You just got a load of different roles that 9 times out of 10 are the same thing. It's just that the roles get interlinked with different naming conventions and it gets quite confusing. So even when you're searching for a role, you might be thinking, oh, I want a cloud engineering role, but a DevOps engineering role might fit the bill for what you want to do, or vice versa. And you're not, it's everywhere. So I'm going to try and help as much as possible to break you into this lovely cloud market. As you know, you've probably looked up how to become a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer on YouTube, and then you see my face come up thinking, I'll watch this. And there's so many benefits to working in the cloud or working under a cloud role. The big one is always going to be work from home. A lot of people want that flexibility to be able to start work at 9 a.m. and 5 minutes before they were just at the gym, they were showered, ready. You know, you're really maximizing the time of work-life balance, and then finish at 5:30, and that's it. You're at home straight away. You're not waking up at 5 o'clock to do your hair, put your makeup on, and get into work, or iron your shirt and your pants, and get in the car or go to the train station, wait half an hour on a freezing cold platform, then jump on a train next to people sneezing, coughing. Oh, I even had this one guy eating a pasty at like 7 a.m. in the morning. It stunk. It was horrible. But again, you get me drift, right? And then you're commuting through the office. You're commuting through Manchester just to try and get in the office a little bit early, maybe to get a space. If you're hot desking, or you're trying to find a car parking space, and then you can't find any, so you got to go and park it down the street, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Sometimes commuting's awesome, just to break up. I am one of them people. I needed change. So if you're ever on a call with me, you'll see me in my living room. You'll see me maybe at my nan's or at my mum's, and I'll be trying to change my routine, do like a little bit of variation. But my God, like sometimes just going to the office all the time is a nightmare, and I can see why people like work from home. It's cheaper as well, of course. Travel costs, whether that be petrol, train tickets are massive right now. So in the UK, so yeah, even getting rid of that adds a little bit extra to your monthly budget. So it's always a win going to be working from home. And then also, cloud for me is really that space where you are the creator of your own destiny, and you can be as talented as you want to be. There's so many great resources out there. There's so much upskilling to take place. And, you could sit on 2 clients and learn so much that could just elevate you tenfold from when you first started your role. And then you can really just increase your value as you go. And it's fantastic. It's absolutely tremendous, the growth that you can have within this industry. It's not a time waiting industry where you have to wait till the guy above you moves on and then you move into their space, or you have to wait till she, becomes a director so you can obtain her role. And it's much more, you control it, so you can go and bang out 10 exams, you can upskill in whatever technology you want, you can read the books, you can do everything, put it in display and say, actually, I can do this. You can go and do some projects, you can demonstrate that on YouTube, you can demonstrate that at a meetup group, and you can say, look, I've learned all of this skill technology and I can implement it and I can demonstrate that to you and regurgitate it on command in front of clients or bosses, managers, teammates, etc. So it really is, I love it for that. You don't have to wait till you're 40, 50, 60 to get into them big roles. You get into the big roles whenever you want to sit there on a weekend and go, I'm going to learn today, I'm going to do this course today, I'm going to do this exam today, I'm going to show people that I'm better, I'm going to show people I'm improving. That's what I really like about it. You can grab it with both hands and run with it. So there's another big benefit as well. And then obviously, career growth, salary, etc., as you've probably seen, just goes massive. And also the tech's transferable as well. So you can work in various companies and the tech stack will be the same within cloud to some extent. So, them best practices, the foundational structures, they're transferable. So if you're picking stuff up on certain customers, you can transfer that tech to somewhere else and improve someone else's technology and make their lives a lot easier. So that's a great benefit too. So loads of benefits, as you can probably tell. And there's probably more benefits that I've not listed, but yeah, there's a lot to working in cloud for sure. So now we talk a little bit of positivity around it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to break out my points, and we're going to go back to the old trusty, the old faithful. We're going to get back out the whiteboard, and I'm going to start noting stuff down for you just so you can see exactly what I'm going on about, and then we can build a list and talk about it. And yeah, let's get you in your first cloud role. So let's head over to the whiteboard and let's get cracking. Welcome back to the old trusty whiteboard. It's nice to be on the whiteboard again. It's got a good, it's got a good feel to it. I feel less restricted. I've got full free reign. I can do what I want on this. So it's nice to be back on the whiteboard from the LinkedIn days. So yeah, highlighting the key points on how we would go about day one, attacking this cloud market, obtaining our cloud role. So first one is really the most important because this will unlock all of the other points we're going to outline in this video. And it might seem quite basic, but it's a necessary one. And the first one is choose your cloud. Now, if you are coming into this space, you're probably seeing there's a lot of different cloud service providers. You'll see things like AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, IBM Cloud, Alibaba Cloud. There's so many different cloud offerings out there, or cloud service providers. And you're probably thinking, oh, which one should I choose? What are they? It's quite confusing. So what I would recommend, certainly in the UK and potentially across Europe, is I would just try and whittle it down to two. And there's a reason for this. But in choosing your starter cloud, I would go for AWS or Azure. Now, there's definitely going to be some GCP people kicking off and saying, why haven't you told them to go for GCP? That's a great cloud. I'm not saying it isn't. But strategically, we're trying to get somebody into the cloud market. We're trying to get somebody into that field. And I feel at the moment within the UK and particularly across Europe, GCP roles are more of a niche. In North America, in that EMEA region, then yeah, potentially so, maybe in APAC, but certainly in the European region, and more specifically the UK where I'm based, don't really see a lot of entry-level GCP roles. Now, you do, however, see a lot of AWS and Azure roles, and that's because AWS and Azure hold the majority market share within the cloud space. AWS is out in front at the moment, and we're following behind in second place. Do I believe that'll flip in the future? Potentially, especially with the big boom in AI now and the Microsoft and NVIDIA partnership. Potentially, people could look on adopting Azure more so than AWS. But for the time being, these are out in front and we are slowly behind them. But with these holding the greatest market share, this means more people are operating in these two spaces. If more businesses are operating in these two spaces, there's going to be more jobs in these two spaces, meaning potentially there's going to be more entry-level roles for AWS or Azure. This is the reason I'm pointing you towards these two clouds, because we want to maximize your chances of getting into this industry. So that's my recommendation. Now, you don't have to follow that, but strategically, these are the two I would pick. So with selecting our cloud, we now need to understand our cloud. We now need to build our foundational knowledge. And how do we do that? And with this one, it's going to be a cert path. Now, AWS and Azure have great cert paths, certification paths. Microsoft Learn, I think there's AWS Learn or Learning, and they outline where you need to go to reach whatever key role you want within that space. They'll outline the certification path to get you there. Now, there's going to be people kicking off again and saying certifications don't mean anything. It's all about experience. You need to have done the work, etc., etc. Well, yes, but certifications have great value, especially if you're trying to break into that sector, and I'll explain why. So first off, from a learning perspective, certifications are great because they isolate a key area within the cloud, in your particular cloud, what you're trying to develop. So if we're looking at the practitioner exam for AWS, or we're looking at the AZ900 fundamental exam for Azure, then that will outline an exam criteria, a learning criteria that we need to follow and hit in order to achieve a fundamental understanding of our CSP. So it provides great learning structure. So you can work through all of that knowledge, and then go, okay, now I'm ready to take an exam, pass a certification, and then you can then demonstrate that certification to hiring managers, recruiters, current employer, or colleagues, and say, I'm now at this level of understanding of our cloud or future cloud. So it's really good from that growth perspective, because you can develop skill and understand where you need to develop. It's very difficult when you come into cloud and you're seeing all these buzzwords like Kubernetes, containerization, YAML, CI/CD, compute, networking, VPN, express route, direct link, data, structured data, unstructured data, SQL. There's all these key buzzwords, and you'll see them flying around a lot, especially if you're looking on job boards at particular roles. And you'll think, oh, where do I go? What do I learn? And the cert path helps with that, because it'll help isolate your level where you are, and it'll give you something to learn on. It'll say, okay, go and learn this, understand this, and it will focus that scope of learning. You won't be learning stuff willy-nilly. You won't be like, oh, I don't know where to start. It tells you where to start. It's fantastic. And then also, I'm speaking about an Azure perspective, I think AWS do the same, but just talking from an Azure perspective. But if you start at the AZ900, the fundamental, that's a fundamental exam. And then Microsoft then say, okay, well, then you now need to go and learn the AZ104. And then that'll develop your understanding from here to here. And it will give you loads of subjects to go and learn. And then you could go, okay, administrator to architect. And then you could go to AZ305. Yeah. So it structures that learning path. And then if you want to be a DevOps engineer, it will tell you the path to go and be a DevOps engineer. If you want to get into data, there's a data fundamentals, and you follow a cert path there. But you won't know that on day one because there's just so much to learn. So following that safe path will just give you that amazing guidance. Plus, certifications, when we're going for entry level jobs, it makes us stand out on the CV. So if you put two CVs in front of somebody, someone that has, done a little bit of something and they've got experience, or, and then the same CV, but there's a certification on there, it's instantly going to stand out, because what certifications tell somebody is that somebody invested their time, their effort to learn, upskill, and take an exam. That to me says a lot, or certainly that's how I look at it, examinations. I don't look at it like, oh, he's got a cert, but he's not got the experience. Somebody's actually went and spent some time to develop their understanding. They took the money that they could have spent, I don't know, on a meal, or went to match, or went to pub with the mates, or anything you can think of, especially in today's climate. So the fundamental exam is like £60. It's a lot of money to invest in an exam that you might not pass. That's telling me that person's invested and they're willing to invest in themselves and boost their career, and they want the cloud role, especially for an entry level role. If you're showing your future employer or hiring manager that you're committed, you're driven, and you want to excel within that space, I think certifications have a big message behind them. And sometimes I feel like that goes unnoticed, or certainly, it's overlooked, and it shouldn't be. They're really big pieces. So yeah, there's another strategy behind getting a cert. So now we've started with our cloud, we're on our certification path, we know where we want to go, we're starting to put them building blocks in place, we're starting with a fundamental, we're working our way up to an associate level, and then having a look at some expert levels. We're starting to build up. Now, you won't get to there in day one, is what I'm saying, but at least you'll start discovering your path. You'll unlock where you want to go. It will start structuring your learning and give you some form of direction, and it will structure that for you. So it's very, very good that we have a look at a certification path. So in parallel, whilst you're developing your skills and you are learning and you're trying to develop, an understanding of your cloud, you want to share it. And the best place to share it in the world, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is absolutely fantastic for tech professionals. It's basically the Tinder for techies. I'm not joking. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. There's so many different people on there that can benefit somebody anywhere in their tech career, but really ideally as well for when you're getting started. You've got seasoned vets on LinkedIn that have been in the industry for multiple years that could provide you with some information. You've got recruiters on there that are always looking for job roles. They might have a cloud entry level role available for you that they can put you forward to. There's key information flying around on there. One experience that I've had with LinkedIn is when I first started LinkedIn, I connected with someone called Yujun Liang, and he had like over 80 certifications, something crazy, for cloud. And he just shared a post and just said, look, there's a free certification going. Go and register for it. You'll have so many months to take the training and the exam before it runs out. So registered for it, did all the training material, walked away with an exam for free. And that's just because I networked with somebody, connected with them, seeing that they posted something, took the post and ran away with it. Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. There's so much value in LinkedIn. I can't tell you how vital it is to grow your network on LinkedIn as a tech professional. It's just massive. Connecting with key people in the industry, getting some of their time, just telling them where you're currently at. So, hi, my name is Joe Blogs. I'm day one into my cloud journey. I'd like to move over to cloud. Have you got any tips for me? You got any hints and tricks? And 9 times out of 10, people come back and say, yeah, well done. This is what I'd recommend. This is what I'd do. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And plus, on your certification paths, on the Microsoft Learn modules, you can share that. So you can share what you're learning on LinkedIn while you're connecting with people and saying, look, I'm developing in this area. I've just learned how to deploy a Kubernetes cluster in my test subscription. I'm learning about this, that, and the other. Please follow me journey. And people will love that. And people will give you some recommendations and correct you and make you better than what you are now. So this is fantastic, and plus recruiters can see that as well, and they can speak to hiring managers and say, actually, I've been following this person on LinkedIn for a couple of weeks now. They're driven in what they're doing. I'd like to put them forward for a role, or I'd like to approach them for a role. Or it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. So I would highly recommend you go and set up LinkedIn immediately. If you're thinking about getting into cloud, go and set that up as number one priority, because you can just start connecting with people in the space, asking them questions, and developing your network. So key. So we've got our LinkedIn, a certification path, and then we're going to want to look at some learning content. We're going to look at how we develop our knowledge moving forward through that certification path. And I'd always recommend YouTube as a start because it's absolutely free. So there's some great content on YouTube. There's MVPs on YouTube. There's crash courses. There's exam crams. All different types of people on YouTube that provide stuff for free. So, for example, if you were looking at the AZ900, I think there's 2 courses on there that I'd highly recommend. And I'll try and link them in the description. John Saville's always a go-to for anyone Microsoft because he gives brilliant breakdowns on technology. But yeah, just absolutely fantastic stuff for free. You know, in today's climate, you don't want to be spending money where you don't need to. So if it's not on YouTube, then you can go and buy a course potentially. But always check here first because there's some great stuff. Next, then, if you've exhausted YouTube and you want to start looking at the paid training, Udemy is a great place to start because you can buy singular courses for £10, £20. Not a big investment compared to other options. So if you're, for example, going for an associate level course and you can't find any good material on YouTube, then you might want to go and purchase a single course on Udemy for, let's say, £20, and then you get to keep that course forever, and you can work through that course as and when required, which might be a better step than just jumping straight into the subscription thing, because if you're, let's say, taking 3 months to learn a single course, then you've only spent £20 over that 3 months. Whereas if you're paying a £50 subscription, there's £150 invested on a course that you could have got a lot cheaper. So there's ways to work it out. But if you're starting to develop and think, actually, I want to do a couple of courses at a time, I don't want to just be buying courses left, right, and centre. I actually want options. So, for example, if I go to work and I get asked a SQL question or a KQL question or a Terraform question or Python question or anything, it's massive, then the subscription ones will be a better option because you've got thousands of courses then at your fingertips. You can just log into a portal, search for what you want to develop, and then go and watch a course on it, and then go back the next day and work and go, I'm upskilled now a little bit more. I understand it a little bit more. And then it makes your life a lot easier. So things subscription-based would be Pluralsight. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't write on this whiteboard. It's been some time. A Cloud Guru is another good one. LinkedIn Learning is another good one. And there's probably a few more out there, but I've completely forgot them. So they're the ones that I'd probably go to. Again, they're probably, I think Udemy has a monthly subscription one as well. So you can have a look at something like that. But again, there's a couple of options there, and there's probably more. But yeah, that's how I would start looking at it. If you're doing multiple exams at once, or you want multiple subjects, then that might be a bit more cost effective having a subscription base. If you like me and you like to really just focus on one thing at a time, maybe Udemy might be a bit of a better option. Or again, if YouTube isn't an option, because why spend money when you get it for free, right? So yeah, have a look at that for your learning and development. I'm gonna come back up here. So we're learning, we're developing, we're working on our cert path, we're trying to push that forward, we're sharing it on LinkedIn with our network, with our wider community, we're networking with people, we're getting tips, we're getting tricks, we're maybe highlighting some free exams that we can participate in. So that is where we need to start. At the very minimum, that's where we need to start. Now, for value adds, I'd take it 2 steps further, because this will 100% separate you out from other candidates. and that is to learn an IAC. Now you're probably thinking, oh, Curtis, you're asking me to go and learn cloud. You're asking me to choose a cloud, promote it on LinkedIn, talk about myself, and then learn and studying. That's a lot. I know it is a lot. But I just feel that having this understanding at a foundational level will put you at such a big advantage to other people going in at cloud entry that it will make a massive difference. So infrastructure as code, IAC, what is that? So infrastructure as code is the industry standard and how we deploy cloud resources into our cloud. Now, you can traditionally you'll go through a portal, click, and then it'll walk you through a wizard and you'll deploy something. Whereas the industry now moving towards setting that out in code and deploying it to the cloud, and then not going through that portal. Because the benefit is that this is declarative. So declarative means is that you'll run that 100 times and you'll get the same outcome. You ask 100 people to deploy a resource, it's going to look different no matter what anyone says. Naming convention could be different, capitals, lowercase, etc. The output could be different. They could do something wrong, like Chinese whispers. Essentially, that's what ClickUps could be. You tell someone something at the start and you'll get something completely different at the end. That removes that, and that's why the industry likes it so much, is because it's completely repetitive. Now, for infrastructure as code, there's two options really. Two options if you're choosing the Azure cloud. It's only really one option if you're choosing any other cloud. And I would argue still choose this first option just because it's agnostic. And what that means is you can translate that to any service provider. So I think vSphere's got an option in there for VMware. AWS, you can do it in AWS, you can do it in Azure, you can do it in GCP, Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud, do it everywhere. So it's a single skill that can transfer across multiple different clouds, and that is Terraform. Now, the reason I'm telling you to do Terraform, or recommending, sorry, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. Why I'm recommending you to do Terraform is simply because you won't be locked into a single language then. So I appreciate that you are just getting into cloud. Now, you might get into Azure and think, actually, I like AWS. Well, Terraform can transfer to AWS. If you're getting into AWS and then find yourself excelling maybe in an Azure space, or you go to transition and only Azure roles are available, you can transfer Terraform over to Azure. Whereas if you choose the native language for Azure, there is a potential that if you do go to transfer to a different project, or if you decide to move clouds, you've then got to learn that cloud and you've got to learn another IAC. So that's why I just recommend Terraform, is because it's transferable between clouds, and for beginners as well. The big benefit is that Terraform have also got an associate certification linked with their technology. So what does that mean for us as a benefit is that you can follow a certification path, like I mentioned here. It'll give you structure to your learning, help you learn this technology to an associate level, and then also pass a certification at the end of it. So you can post a certification on your CV, post it on your LinkedIn, talk about it. Again, putting you at an advantage when two CVs are being compared and getting you in front of somebody to talk and demonstrate your skill. It's unlocking doors for you. And that's why I find it very, very good. Because what you'll find is that when you're trying to get into cloud, people might be rejecting you based on experience, and they might say, "Oh, he hasn't got experience," or this, that, and the other. And I've heard it many times, even for entry level roles, and it's quite crazy, to be honest. By the way, recruiters, you need to do better with that. You need to do better. You need to realize entry level roles are entry, so that means that there might not be any experience, but if you've got someone that can demonstrate skill on a small level, then take them on, because they just need the experience. That's all they need. But anyway, Yeah, so it will help with them questions when people say, well, have you got experience with Terraform? It's all right for you to say, yeah, I've done a bit of a project. But if you can demonstrate certification, it's just saying, it's giving that little bit more, isn't it? Saying I've went and passed an exam that, certifies my knowledge. So it's really, really good. Obviously, Bicep, again, you can choose to do Bicep if you're in Azure. There's not a problem with doing Bicep in Azure. There's a lot of great companies out there that use Bicep. I'm just thinking from a strategic perspective, the Terraform piece would be a lot nicer and it would fit well, trying to get you in the door. But again, it's up to you on that one. So that's one big value add. And obviously we can learn that on YouTube. We can learn that on Udemy on our subscription. But yeah, just having a basic understanding of that and maybe being able to develop something in Terraform or Bicep. And that's where the last piece comes into play, is a project. So remember when I mentioned around he hasn't got the experience or she hasn't done anything with that, or I can't put you forward because you've only know the theory. Well, a project eliminates that straight away. Because what you can turn around and say is, okay, I've got no live customer experience, but I've got a GitHub repository that I've deployed into my Azure, into my, £200 learning credits, and I can do it. It's just that I've not had the opportunity to do it. So projects are brilliant, and I would recommend having a GitHub repository for yourself, a personal repository. Now there are other options out there, GitLab and Azure DevOps, but Microsoft are heavily pushing GitHub, and it's fastly becoming industry standard for your DevOps platform. Obviously, you've got things like GitHub Copilot at the moment. Every public repository I see is GitHub. So for you to have your own public repository in GitHub would be awesome. And then you can link that on your CV and say, look, here's what I'm doing. And then you can have a bit of a write up in there in a README file. And yeah, you can just say, yeah, this is what I've been working on. I've deployed this web app into Azure, and here's my Terraform to do it. Here's some screenshots, and you put screenshots in there. And yeah, you can just walk somebody through what you've done, and then again, stick it in your CV. So when people are looking at it, they come to reference it. Oh, here's what they've done. I can see how they work. I can see the logical format that they followed. They've got some structure in there, got some modules in there, demonstrating a bunch of skills. So that can be a massive win, but also it's developing your experience, it's developing your understanding. So you're taking your theory and putting it into practice. And plus also, it's always good to have some extra in there. So if you can say, I've administered my own GitHub repository, I've set up a pipeline to deploy things, you'll learn this as you go. You've installed Git, you've done a Git commit from local to a remote branch, and you've created branches, you understand Git flow, etc. That's all big value add. Again, that's why it's kind of in its own little box, because it is more of a value add. These are your fundamentals and probably what you need to get started. But if you really want to stand out as a top candidate for an entry level role, here's that extra spice. Extra spice. Yeah, that's where the big difference can be made. So obviously getting certifications, but yeah, saying that you can operate under IAC practice and then deploy from a repository. Quids in, absolute quids in. So yes, that is how I would start on day one. So just to recap, choose your cloud as your first step. Understand where your future or short-term future will be. Then link that to a certification path. AWS and Azure have great certification paths and outline where you need to get started and where potentially you can go, and then some roles associated with that, and also give you a development structure to follow to develop, understand, and move forward and upskill. Then, in parallel, let's set up our LinkedIn. Let's start growing our network. Let's start connecting with people in the industry. Let's connect with people in the recruitment sector. And let's start posting what we're learning, sharing that to LinkedIn, sharing our story, and getting a bit of traction. And yeah, getting people to follow us, connect with us, and potentially offer us some roles. And then On a side note of the certifications, we can use YouTube as a free place. Also, we've got Microsoft Learn, you've got HashiCorp documentation, you've got some AWS documentation. That's really good free content. So if you haven't got any money to put in right away, that's absolutely fine. There's good content there for free that you can take advantage of. If then you want to push on from that free content, or you can't find something to satisfy your requirements, potentially Udemy for a one-off course, £10, £20. Sometimes there's a sale, as I say, so just keep your eye out for them. Or if you need multiple courses at any one time, then maybe a subscription-based platform might be better for you. Pluralsight, Cloud Guru, LinkedIn Learning, the choice is yours on that one. So that provides you with a great structure to get going, and then to really add that competitive advantage, apart from passing a fundamental exam, start learning infrastructure as code. Go and learn a little bit of Terraform or Bicep if you're starting in Azure. But my recommendation is just stick to Terraform. Understand Terraform, understand that workflow. Terraform commit, Terraform commit. Sorry, Terraform plan, Terraform apply. Understanding how that works, and then also the structure, modularity, monorepo versus multi-repo, and just start diving into that Terraform foundation paper. Start developing your skill there, and then take that and take your learning within your cloud. So piece the cloud learning together with your infrastructure as code, and go and deploy something. Go and write something in GitHub. It's absolutely free to start your own GitHub. You can also sign up for credits on Azure, or I don't know whether AWS have that, but you can get $200 worth of credits for free, and you get 12 months of free resources as well. Link that into your GitHub and go and deploy something. Share it on LinkedIn, talk about it, tell them what you're doing, and just say how you're developing your understanding for it with IAC within your chosen CSP. So yeah, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. Don't be scared by it at all. Please don't be scared by it. It's very, very simple to follow. It really is. Just have confidence in yourself. This is where you want to be. This is what you've been searching on YouTube, and just follow these steps, and it should provide you with a strong foundation to go and get that first cloud role and get you in the door. And don't think, oh well, I don't know whether I'm going to be locked into Azure. I don't know whether I want to be locked into AWS. You don't have to be. You don't have to be. The fundamentals that you will learn in cloud technology under the hood are all the same. A VPN is the same in AWS or Azure. A virtual network, just the naming convention change on that top layer. The knowledge underneath is absolutely the same, and that will be transferable. So apart 90% of it will be transferable. So it doesn't really matter at this moment in time within your career about choosing the right cloud as such, but strategically choosing a cloud where there's loads of jobs where you can go and pluck one and get yourself in the industry. And then from there, network, build up that knowledge, build up that customer experience, and then move up the ladder and get going with it. So I hope that's helped a lot. And yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know how you're getting on. If you've got any further questions, ask me on LinkedIn. And good luck with it. And hopefully, in a few months' time, you come back and say, thanks, Curtis. You helped me get a job. I'll be like, brilliant, fantastic. So yeah, best of luck. Just keep smashing away at it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.